What's up? This is E. Beasley, URLTV.TV, and right now you're tuned into the world's most dangerous site, allhiphop.com.
What's going on, world? It's your man Chuck Creekmur, aka Jigsaw, here at One World Studios for allhiphop.com, and we are here with Eric Beasley, aka Beasley from URL. What's going on?
Oh, man, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you
Yeah.
for having me, man.
Yeah, definitely glad to have you, man. Yo, I got a question that just popped in my head. What's the illest line you heard in a URL rap battle?
You know, there's like so many.
I know one.
Like, there's none that stand out, right? Because sometimes there's guys that have like ill stories or just like things that happen that you just don't expect to happen. So
Right.
it's really kind of hard to pinpoint one specific one. I could pinpoint like a unique situation that happened.
Okay, give us that.
All right, so there was these two guys battling, right? And one of them is Arsenal the Rebel, who's like a legend in this culture.
Yeah, yeah.
He's been around for a long time, a lot of views, and he was battling another guy named T-Top,
Okay.
who's been around for a few years, but he's considered to be a veteran at this point. A guy who's he hasn't been around as long as Arsenal, but his star power is up and he's just as popular. So
Right.
we're having this event. This is our first event with our new partner, Caffeine. So in the middle of the battle, Arsenal has footage of T-Top's, child's mother on camera, doing, some crazy things are happening, and he plays this in the battle. And everyone is expecting him to fold at this point. But he came back with like one of the most incredible rebuttals and rounds and actually did really well in that battle. So it was like no one would imagine in 1,000 years that he would be able to overcome that situation.
Right,
So
right.
that was like really
Okay,
crazy.
okay. Nice. My favorite, I think hands down my favorite is Loaded Lux when he battled, was it Calico?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
and
was
he came
a big
out
moment, man.
Yeah, he came out just like a Muslim and the end of that. But that was like for me, that was my high point. But that's not a bar or nothing. I do know, I think my favorite bar, this was not from URL, but it was actually Rap City. This rapper named Drift. He said, "I'm a thug that'll bite off Mike Tyson's ear." And I was like, yo, I never forgot that line.
Man, there are so much. Like if you dig
Yeah.
into our catalog on YouTube, if you go to URL channel, there's just years and years of content of
Yeah.
great lines and like different narratives that are painted from MCs when they're
Yeah,
competing.
of
So
course.
like there's just so much stuff. Like you'd be overwhelmed as to pick
Yeah.
which one would be your favorite.
Yeah,
You know?
for sure. So let's go back to the beginning now. First of all, let's talk about you a little bit. Most people know you from URL,
Right.
but which is the ultimate rap league.
Yes.
But give us, like some of your background, like before that, or like something that like
Man,
that's all I
it's
really
crazy.
kind of
Well,
know.
I met you a long time ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For many years, I worked in the music business.
Right.
Started out interning like everybody else. Came up working at different labels like Geffen. And I was in the Atlantic system for a while. I managed some groups and I managed a lot of producers. So
Yeah.
I used to do a lot of beat placement for a lot of big artists.
Right.
And that was really my grind. Like when I first started out, I was like, yo, I want to be in the music business and I want to be like, some big music mogul,
Yeah,
and that was
yeah.
the aspiration.
Right, yeah.
I got into a certain level, but just being totally honest, like I probably was like a blue collar music guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't really rise to, like I held jobs for a long time. I did promotion, I did A&R. You know what I'm saying? And I knew a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I don't think that I ever reached the goal that I had set in mind in terms of what I wanted to achieve working in the music business. But it was a great time, and I learned a lot of information, and I was able to utilize a lot of the things that I learned in terms of marketing and promotion when I met with Smack. And we started to do Smack DVD, and then later formed URL.
Yeah. Now you and Smack, y'all seem like y'all complement each other well. In fact, y'all kind of remind me of me and my business partner Greg. At least when we first started, like Greg was more outgoing
Right.
than
Wow.
me. Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
right.
I remember him, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember like coming out to all hip hop used to have these dope things in the middle of the summer. It was like all hip hop week.
Yeah, all
Everybody
hip-hop
they would
week,
have
yeah.
people performing
Mhm.
and parties and
Yeah.
free alcohol and
Yeah,
women.
yeah, free.
It was a great time.
Right.
Those were the days when you would
Exactly.
go to a party and they'll bring out coconut shrimp on a tray and you got people dressed up and you leave with merch and hats and
Right,
t-shirts and tapes and
Mhm.
bags and all types
Yeah.
of shit. Try that now, you won't get nothing.
Nah, don't try that. Don't try that
Won't
now,
happen.
folks.
But
You
yeah, I
know,
just remember him always being
Yeah.
live, like, yo, what's up, Bees?
definitely,
What's going on?
definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So
The
he's
good old
very
days.
cool.
Hopefully, we'll be bringing out all that back. You know, what I mean, we got a little bit of a 2-year plan
Right.
that we working on. So we'll definitely chop it up about that. But yeah, talk about the magic between you and Smack, and even like those early days with the Smack DVDs, which
Yeah,
are
so-
legendary too.
So back then at that time, around the time I met Smack, I was like placing beats at that time. You know what I mean? I was working with some dope producers, Knots, Nobody,
Right.
my man Sean C,
Yeah.
a couple of other people. I was just running around hustling, trying to get placements and stuff like that, beats. So my man Devon, a good friend of mine, Devon Young, he had told me about this Smack DVD. He was like, yo, this is on the Smack. And I'm like, the Smack? What's that?
Yeah.
So the first edition, like, I think the first two had dropped already. So I checked it out and I was like, yo, this is crazy. You know what I mean? This is pre-YouTube. So, to see like this type of street energy all brought together into like one form is just kind of amazing to me. So I was like working with some different artists at the time that I was trying to get onto the DVD. But Smack was real mysterious. There was no picture. There was no contact number. You just had to be in the know. So like an old friend of mine, Kevin Mitchell, he was managing a group called Nappy Roots, and they had a video shoot. So I pulled up to the shoot, and as I'm walking in, somebody's walking out, and we bump into each other. I said, oh, shit, excuse me, it's part of me. Yo, what's up? And he's like, I'm B. He's like, Smack. I'm like, yo, I've been looking for you, man.
Right.
I got some people I want to get on to the DVD. And he was like, word? He was like, yo, take my number down. So like 2 days later, he's in the Bronx, and that's where you saw the infamous Corey Gunn freestyle. And then we went to Soundview, got up at Lord Tariq, drove around the projects, gave us, the history of everything that was going on over there. And from that point on, it was like I just, on the spot, he was like, yo, ask some questions, because you know these people. So I just started asking the questions. And then from that point, we just like got real cool. Next thing you know, we're in Philly talking to Beanie Siegel, and we just running around. And from that point on, it just really grew because I had a lot of relationships in the music business from what I was doing. He already knew some people as well, but he also had the technical ability in terms of editing, shooting, and things like that. I kind of knew people, and I kind of knew what questions to ask and how to poke people, get them, to talk and say shit. And I think the synergy between us was just good. And from that point on, we just rocked out and just kept working.
So how does URL start to form? Like, and can you talk a little bit about how it's inspired by the UFC?
Definitely. URL was formed because, on the DVD, we always had rap battles. You know what I mean? And some of the earlier battles that you guys might have seen were like Murder Mook and Jay Mills, Loaded Lux and Murder Mook, stuff like that. So we noticed on the DVD, times were changing. You know what I mean? Phones were becoming more readily accessible. People had their mobile phones. They could tape whatever they wanted. Cameras became cheaper. And there was a blog explosion. And, of course, YouTube was launched. So at that point, all the content that we were getting was getting ripped off the DVDs and thrown directly onto YouTube and these other platforms. So it kind of weakened the strength of what we were creating. And we were under time constraints now because, like, say, for instance, if an artist had a beef, like if it was The Game, for instance, right? By the time he hits every radio station as he's promoting his album, they're bringing up what beef he has going on, right? And then you have like these radio jocks intervening and trying to squash the beef on the phone. They're recording it. They walking outside the radio station, and then, intern's like, yo, sit on my couch. I have this new blog. So they were getting all the stories before we were. So, it just became difficult, and we were facing that along with the popularity of the DVD and the amount of bootlegging that we were getting. It was just putting a strain on the business overall financially, because we were actually going and traveling and collecting this information, flying state to state. But the one thing that we noticed that we could control was battle rap.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because those battles were like prize fights.
Right.
Somebody's not gonna, like, for instance, have a fist fight today and then recreate it tomorrow unless it's like real beef. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we was like, yo, this is interesting. So let's just focus on this, because we can create these matches and then we can control the release of them,
Right.
and then try to get people to come in and watch it. So that was the idea, you know what I'm saying? And then there was some battles that presented themselves. There was a battle between T-Rex and Math Hoffa that was supposed to happen on the Smack DVD, and then it was actually going to happen on, there was some other guys that were trying to put the battle together. Long story short, they didn't have the funding for it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we stepped in, we got a sponsor, we got it funded, and that was our first event. And then from that point on, we knew that we had something because there was an interest. And then once we started to release it and go on to YouTube and some of these other platforms, we realized that there was popularity in it, it was growing, and it was something that we could control.
Nice. When did you guys turn a corner? Like, there's been, like, there were Blaze battles back in the day. There's been Fight Club. There's been all types of different, now there's a lot of leagues now. You know what I mean? What makes you guys different? Makes you guys special?
I think what makes us different and special is a number of things, right? You have the authenticity of the Smack DVD brand.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because what also helped too is that we were having interviews with Eminem. We had interviews with Ludacris and Jeezy and whoever were the big artists of that time period. We had them on the DVD. Diddy, whoever, right? Then on top of that, it's the first era of the a cappella form of battling, right? So a lot of times that was the first glimpse that people actually saw of that style of battling, right? Where there wasn't any music. So because we were the leaders in that field, we're looked at as the godfathers of the space, similar to all hip hop, as you guys were like the first, dedicated hip hop site online. People always know all hip hop, you know what I mean? So they'll always know Smack for that.
Yeah.
And then when we, parlayed it into the URL brand, when we solely focused on battle rap, that, it was an easy transition for people to follow. So they were like, those classic battles on Smack, now they're doing it all the time, and it's called the Ultimate Rap League.
Yeah.
So then we figured, like, okay, let's bring everybody from off the corner, let's get venues, let's mic them up, let's do promotion. And as you mentioned before, like, we kind of patterned it after the UFC, you know what I'm saying, in terms of creating trailers and backstories and things like that to really make it a little more compelling. And then when people actually see the matchup, they're already hyped up to see it, and it just comes out a lot better. So, those are some of the, got a little off track there.
No. You guys, it's tense in there sometimes. Like, it's real tense. But you guys don't often have incidents.
I think it's people have a general respect in the sport. If you fight, you lose. That means that somebody got under your skin. They were able to affect you and make you break character. So once you do that, it's like you're admitting that you lost. If I could say something to you and I know what I signed up for when I step in front of you, because it takes a certain level of you got to have like skin of armor to step in there, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I often see people make a comparison to other rappers who are out who may be lyricists and say, oh, they could jump in there and they could do this. This is a totally different thing. This is like comparing boxing to a UFC, right? They're both combat sports and they both have similarities, but they're vastly different, okay? Because it's just like if a guy who's a battle rapper, if he does not actually record records on a consistent basis, he won't be as good as a guy who's recording records every day. And a guy who records records every day, it doesn't matter how deep and lyrical the rhymes are, if he's not in the pace of being in a battle,
Right.
he's going to get trounced.
Right.
It doesn't matter who they are. It's a whole different thing. You got to remember, you're delivering new material to thousands of people. You're controlling them, right? Then they're hinging on your every word. There's no music. There's no beat to follow. There's nothing to sing along with that they know or are familiar with.
Right.
And you have to captivate that audience for the time that you're on the stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and then you have to stand there and have someone talk about your family, your personal life, things that you didn't think that they knew about you.
Yeah.
No, there's no holds barred.
Right.
So it's a really difficult thing to do, to sit there and not want to hit somebody because he brought up that this guy slept with your girlfriend, and you're really believing this in your mind, like, yo, damn, you know what I'm saying? Or he found out that, you know, you stole something from someone and he brought the guy you stole it from, and they pull up the picture of you actually doing the crime.
Right.
It's just like you have to hold composure.
Yeah.
So I think that is an amazing thing. I think that a lot of people underestimate the skill set that it takes to be a competitive battle MC.
Now sometimes I'm looking at it and I'm like, yo, how many ways can you kill him? Like, it'd be like, oh, I put a hole inside of you, the big as a steering wheel, or I'll turn your brains into, you know, mashed potatoes. It'd be like every form of food has come out the brain. Do you have critics, and do people have things to say about?
I mean, people have said it, right? Like, oh, why are they saying how many times you're gonna kill someone or whatever, right? But it's just like mainstream music. Like, how many times are you gonna bust out the G-Wagon and the Maserati and the Range and your jewelry's like this and my things are like that? Like, this is what people talk about in that field. So I just think it's a creative way of combat. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I'm here to destroy this guy. I'm going to talk about him personally, and I'm going to use metaphors to describe ways that I could beat him. I'm going to talk about being better than him. I'm going to talk about getting more women than him in just the slickest way possible. So there's so many different styles that guys use. Some guys don't use gun bars. Some guys are just creative. Some guys paint narratives. Some guys use a bunch of punchlines. So it all depends on your approach. But everybody's different, and a lot of guys have, you know, different styles.
You guys are you're absolutely, actually, you know what, let me back up. You mentioned something about name brand rappers getting into the battlefield. I remember one time Conway, he got on Sirius. I know you remember this.
Yes, definitely remember.
And he started name checking people. And you was in the comments heavy under that.
I was like, come on.
Yeah.
We got something for you.
But you was like, oh, they gonna get you.
Yeah. I mean, yo, man, I appreciated it. I thought it was dope. You know, because he was just coming in at the time. It was like the announcement of him signing, and you know, for him to go up there and do that was dope. And most of the battle rappers, you know, they liked it. You know, it was like, you know, it's just part of the culture. It's the game. You know what I mean? And their fans, you know, him, Benny, you know, all of those guys, you know, watch URL, and you know, we definitely appreciate their support. And you know, we're happy for their success and what they've been able to achieve. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of guys believe that they can do it, and I'm sure he was sincere. But you know, it would be interesting to see. You know what I'm saying? So if you're watching, Conway, call us, man. You know what I'm saying? I know you're super successful now, but you know, if you love it for the culture, come on in. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure we could work out something nice for you to come on over to the URL and demonstrate your ability.
Not too many people are interested in getting in there no more. You know, I've seen, you know, Joe Budden at one point. I mean, I don't want to name too many people, but you know, quite a few people try to get into the actual ring, if you will. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's their competitive spirit as MCs, right? Because where this form of battle rapping kind of started from was these guys you got to think this era was like around the Rough Rider era, the D Block era, you know, early 2000s, right? So at this time, you had big producers like Swizz Beatz and, you know, Timbaland and other guys running around. And the way that they found artists were just out in the world, right? It wasn't like, what's your traction? What's your Instagram following? How many songs do you have on Spotify? Those things didn't matter. So guys would just come out and demonstrate their ability in ciphers and hope to be picked by, another producer who would be willing to take them into the studio and attempt to make records. So that was more so the beginning of it, right? And that's what it was. These were all actual artists or aspiring artists, but then they realized that just by spitting rhymes around D and Y from Rough Riders that they might get an invitation to a studio session that could possibly change their life and lead to a recording contract. So, a lot of that is where it comes from. It's the competitive spirit of an MC. So when you have guys who are sitting at home and they're watching these guys and people are oohing and ahhing over what they're saying to each other, they're like, man, I get in there, I smoke them niggas. That's the energy, but that's hip hop, right? And I think one of the main reasons why URL has been successful is because in modern day mainstream music, that level of camaraderie and competition is gone. Like the lyricist has kind of been minimized for the most part. You know what I mean? Because it's just a different form of expression today. So when that happened, it kind of helped us become successful because we're probably the only platform where there's a guy that's going to say, I'm a better rapper than you and I'm willing to prove it in front of the world right now for money. Like, what do you want to do? Like right now we can go into Webster Hall or Irving Plaza, we'll fill it up, we'll stream it in front of the world, and I'm going to humiliate you and I'm going to beat you. And you don't really see that level of competition anymore, or the honesty of one MC telling another MC, yo, your album just dropped and it was trash and my shit is better than yours. You don't see that anymore. It's not the same. So that energy lives in battle rap. That level of lyricism and creativity, it lives in battle rap. That level of performance and importance, it lives in battle rap. I'm not saying that that there's no artist in mainstream music that have, lyricism and that type of energy. It still exists, but it's not the vast majority like it was before.
Yeah, definitely. Now, on the flip side, we've seen on a couple of occasions rappers try to create a battle platform. Eminem, Snoop had a little moment. A couple others. Did you ever look at that like, or did that?
I mean, when they had a total slaughter, that was a tough time, because we were still, independent for the most part, and you could have like a big star that's standing in front of that, like an Eminem, and then it's just like, everybody's like, oh, what's gonna happen? You're looking on television, you're seeing commercials, you're seeing TMZ picking up the story, and it's just like you're feeling like, damn, are we gonna get erased? Or are we gonna become like the guys who started it and then never actually went to the next level? But we were confident in what we had, and we always kept working, and that's like kind of the difference between us and anyone else that's ever tried to do this. We've always continued to work. We always search out new talent and find and develop new talent and go and visit different cities and have tryouts or send scouts out to smaller leagues to recruit guys and build them up through the rankings to give them the opportunity to become stars on our platform. So yeah, it's difficult when those types of things happen, or you hear about companies coming in or stepping in and maybe they're not trying to include you because they know what your value is or what your stake is in the culture, and they know that they'll have to pay for it, so they may try to go around you.
Right, facts. But now you got Drake, Caffeine. That's a big, like, I hate to say big look because you guys are here. You've been here, you've been doing it, but it seems to add another level to everything.
Yeah, definitely.
How did both of those come about?
Okay, cool. So, Drake, he was definitely a fan of Smack DVD. Him and Smack had different, like they would run into each other on the road. Smack was like running around with French Montana, like just collecting footage and stuff like that. So he would always see Drake, and they kind of developed a friendship. And Drake was like always like, yo, I love the battles, I love what you guys did and stuff like that. So I guess, when the Caffeine situation came into play with him, he thought that this would be the perfect, situation to present to Caffeine. So he reached out to Smack, and they had a conversation, and then eventually we met the rest of his camp, and we sat down and we worked out something that, you know, was amicable for everyone, and we proceeded forward, and the rest has been history. And Caffeine's been a great strategic partner in terms of actually spreading the culture out even further, because they were able to make it for free. You know what I mean? And that would you know, and that was kind of like Dream Crew's thing. Like, listen, guys, if we can make this for free, we can blow it up and make it even bigger, because we'll bring in more eyeballs, because we already had our core audience, and we were already streaming. So we were already charging $50, $60 a stream. Now, if you're not into battle rap, and the very first introduction, you know, to battle rap is $50 to $60, you're like, whoa, I got to take my credit card out, punch it in onto this website, and hope that my information's not compromised, or, you know what I'm saying? So
that's real.
That was a tough thing, you know what I mean? And that, you know, for us to grow. So I think, like, you know, this is a real good turning point. You know, the marketing is great with them, the promotion is great with them. So, you know, that's really how it came about. Drake reached out to Smack. They had a relationship. He thought it was the perfect situation. You know, we sat down, we lined it up, we went out, we met with Caffeine. They loved what we had to offer. We liked what they were offering, and we've been working together. It's going to be going on about 3 years right now.
Yeah. It's pretty dope, man. I mean, just, you know, I'm not like super into all the leagues and every single card and everything. So for me, as someone that's a little bit outside, it definitely looks great. Yeah,
definitely.
Let's talk about this card. This To Death Do We Part event, October 30th in Long Beach.
Definitely.
With Drake and Caffeine. What's the deal?
Drake's a huge fan of URL, right? Like, he would actually come out to our events, you know what I mean, and attend and come on stage and watch the battles of Smack and stuff like that. And he's really into the culture. He's not just somebody who's peeking in. Like, he really watches the shit. He orders the pay-per-views. He looks, he tells who his favorite guys are. He's posted stuff on his social media. Before our, you know, working relationship ever began, he was already posting our content and stuff. So, you know, his birthday is coming up, you know what I mean? So he's like, yo, I want to do something crazy for my birthday. So he just reached out, and he was telling us about it, and then he was like, he put together a card of the MCs and the battles that he wanted to see. And a lot of them were battles that were existing in the culture that hadn't taken place, and some were actual matchups that he wanted to see personally. So, you know, we had Summer Madness. Right after that, we booked everything, and the rest is history. It's going down October the 30th, Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Download the Caffeine app. It is totally free. Follow the URL TV, and you can catch all the magic. It's going to be crazy.
Nice. I can't wait to see it. I'm going to be there, too. I'll be in the building.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. You know I wasn't going to miss this one.
Oh, man, like, the amount of calls you've gotten so far has been crazy, from athletes to actors to... You know, there's so many different people that actually follow the culture and watch that you wouldn't believe. Like, just from, like, Shaq to, you know, Kenny Smith to Omar Epps to
That's crazy.
The girl that used to be on Boy Meets World, Topanga. Like, just all types of different people follow it. And, you know, people really loving it and are into it. And this is going to be an exciting matchup. And then the week after, same time, we have another event. You know, Smack Volume 8. Which is going to be on Caffeine as well, streaming for free. And, you know, tune in, man.
That's crazy. History of battle rap. You know, battling and rapping is, you know, that's like, it's like apples to apple pie. You know what I mean?
Right.
What are some of the battles that you remember, and like just outside of the, you know, whole organized battles, some of your favorite battles?
I mean, I loved Beanie Siegel versus Jadakiss. I thought that battle was crazy.
Yes, it was.
That was like one of the best battles that ever took place, because it was a constant back and forth, and they both were bringing it on a high level. And it was good, aggressive street energy. You know what I mean? And I think that that's missing from music, period. Like, I mean, I think there's a lot of guys, and I'm not saying that the current rappers are not tough. You know, these guys are killing each other. But I'm just saying, I'm talking about in terms of just the image and the aggression and the feel and the vibe of the music, you know, like that Mobb Deep, early Mobb Deep, Wu-Tang
Going
feel.
that pop
Yeah,
energy.
just going at Tupac and, you know, I love that stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's what we grew up on and that's what we love. So, you know, I'm glad to have, you know, some part of that in something that I'm doing. You know what I mean? And it makes me feel like, you know, I'm doing something to keep that energy around.
Yeah. Do you look at, you know, Versus comes to mind, but there's others similar battles-ish kind of things. Do you feel like you help usher that in?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I definitely think Versus is something different, and I appreciate, you know, what it is and what it has to offer, because it gives people a chance to expose the new generation to classic music. You know what I mean? That they may not been aware of, and they really get reacquainted and appreciate the artists that participate with it. So it's dope. But I definitely think that URL has definitely had a strong influence in all parts of entertainment. You know, whether people realize it or not. Just like even if you look at shows like Wildin' Out, how like a lot of the format changed, you know, towards battling, you know what I mean? And they used a lot of guys from our platform too, they've recruited, you know, which is a great opportunity for them. You know what I mean? Shout out to Nick Cannon. And, you know, I think that our influence has been tremendous in so many ways that people don't even realize, that we don't even realize. I mean, I've seen commercials with Sprite where they had LeBron James with the big beard, and instead of smack, which is like Smack's tag or you know, signature sound that he makes prior to the battles, they're like Sprite. You know what I'm saying? It's just like people are hit. What was so crazy when that commercial dropped, our fan base went crazy on Sprite, and even to the point where one of them kind of reached out, was like, hey, you know, but I'm like, you know, let's work something out, let's do something, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think one of the guys who actually was the creator of the commercial was a battle rap fan. So he said, yo, this might be dope to kind of do. This is something that's going on that's big right now. So
you didn't have a lawyer hit him up like,
you know, you're not beating Sprite.
I hear that.
It's going to be tough. But I mean, it wasn't even that. You know what I mean?
No,
I just feel like, you know, I'm just, you know, it's about influence.
But I'm gonna say this, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. But as you know, we create and then others take, and then that can be highly problematic as well. You know what I'm saying? And you know, we've known that tag for, and I'm not knocking Sprite or anybody in particular, but just to say that when you start saying you the Godfather or something, whether it's like all hip hop or battle rap, you know they coming. You know what I'm saying? Do you ever concern yourself? I mean, I'll just use us as an example. Like, we're no less than 10 years ahead of everybody, right? And that's why we're still here. But now that, like 20 years has passed, you know, it's a little tougher. It's a different battle because it's not rap sites anymore. It's every other site. You know what I'm saying? Do you ever concern yourself with, you know, the possibility that, Sprite might, you know, just start doing this? Like, you know what?
Yeah, I mean, you know, in any form of business, when you're successful, generally within 18 months, you're going to have a competitor in the marketplace who is doing what you're doing or attempting to do it. You know what I mean? But I think that when you know something so well, you're always a step ahead. And it doesn't necessarily matter how much of a budget or how much more money they have than you. When something's authentic and you are the creator of something, I'm not saying that we created battle rap. What I am saying is that we created the industry of battle rap. You know, what it is today, how guys are able to eat off of this and just only want to be battlers. You know what I mean? People being able to travel around the country, be paid, be booked, you know, months in advance. You know, this whole format and setup that you see currently in today's battle rap is a URL format. You know, so it's kind of difficult to try to, like, people do it, you know what I'm saying, but they will never do it as well as we do. You know what I mean? And the fans know what it is. They know where it comes from, and you know how fans are. It's always a back and forth thing, but it's kind of like it's a resonant thing. So it's like you want to see Hulk Hogan The Undertaker, Triple X.
Yeah.
You want to see them on the WWE.
Right,
You don't
right.
want to see them anyplace else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's real. That's real.
So, if I have to be Eric McMahon,
Right,
Smack
right.
McMahon, and Cheeko McMahon, then
Right,
so be
right.
it. You know what I mean? Shout to Cheeko and
Yeah.
Smack. Those are our partners that
Right.
we own the Ultimate Rap League jointly.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you because everybody sees Smack, but then there's. I'm not saying you the other guys or nothing, but yeah, he's definitely out in the front. Can you, if you will, break down like everybody's role, like what y'all do?
Man, we all wear many hats, man, from ticket guy to security, marketing, promotion,
I get it.
gang relations,
Right.
beef, anything that you could possibly think of, social, counselor, anything that you could possibly think
Yeah.
of, we all do jointly.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, Smack and I are probably a little bit more creative. We've always been like that. That's kind of like how our friendship developed.
Yeah.
Cheeko is more so business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're all business and we all are in the meetings, but Chico's like, you got to be on time. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to do that. And I think, his structure and involvement has helped us grow. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I think the three of us together, we work well. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
And we all, sometimes he comes up with creative ideas that we're not thinking about. Sometimes Smack comes out of left field with stuff that we were not even, thinking about. And, of course, sometimes I come up with stuff. So, we all wear different hats, but for the most part, I deal with a lot of the artists on a day-to-day basis. Everybody that has a complaint comes to me. So I guess I'm HR or whatever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Smack really doesn't talk to many artists, and actually we all have different guys that we deal with. So he might have like 4 or 5 guys that he deals with. I'm dealing with the other 20, and Cheeko might deal with 3 guys that that are difficult to deal with. That have because it's different personalities.
Yeah.
So everybody gets along with different people.
All right. I got a question for you now. You don't have to name check anybody, current day battle rappers or nothing, but it can be as early as like freaking Kumo D or something, and as current as I don't know whoever, Loaded Lux or somebody. But who are your top 5 dead or alive battle rappers?
Top 5. It's so difficult.
I know it's hard, but come on, man.
All right, I'ma
now,
say-
and it
I'ma
could be
say-
LL Cool, like it could be whoever.
Are we talking URL guys? or are
Well,
we
I don't
talking-
want to put you on a spot because I know you still
Right.
you the politician. You know what I'm saying?
right,
So
right,
I don't
right,
want to
right, right.
put you on the spot
I
or
mean,
nothing, but you can.
You always have to give respect to the original guys. You know what I mean? So, like, Cool Mo D was lighting it up early.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even KRS-One was getting
Yeah,
busy back in the
facts,
days,
yeah.
battling dudes and openly challenging people on
Yeah.
records and
Still
things
is.
like that. So you got to give those guys their respect. They're the pioneers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That led to, the actual forming of battle rap, even in the early stages prior to what we're doing currently. Yeah. So you got to give them props. But like as I mentioned, I love some of the battles that took place from mainstream artists who actually were confronted with a situation and addressed it. Like I love the spirit of like T.I., right? Like he's not known as a battle rapper, but like if you say his name, he's gonna say something, and he's actively participating in the tradition of hip hop. Like if somebody calls you out, he's gonna say something. Jadakiss is going to say something.
Tip and Lil Flip had.
Yeah, they went at it.
Yeah.
Shorty Low.
Yeah.
He went at it. Tip always says something. Common.
Right.
Always says something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Pusha T. All these guys are always. Even Drake always says something. He
handles
always
his
gets
business.
busy. If you say something to Drake, he's going to say something back.
Yeah.
He's going to take a shot at you on a hit record,
Right.
and you're going to be
Right.
depressed. You know what I'm saying? So. It's just like there's so many. I just like to see people practicing hip hop.
Yeah,
That's
facts.
what being an artist is. To me, being a hip hop artist is, you make great records, and I'm not saying that you have to run around battling people, but when someone calls you out, it is tradition for you to stand up and face that person. That's what the culture's about.
Yeah.
It's always been about competition.
Right.
Who's the best breakdancer? Who's the best graffiti guy? Who gets up on the most trains? Who's the best DJ? Who could do the scratch and spin around and scratch backwards? Who's the best breakdancer? How many times can he spin on his head and do a backflip on one arm?
Right.
It's all about competition and who is the best. That is what hip-hop, that is the basis of hip-hop. So when we get away from that and we're not practicing it, then you start to see the culture diminish and it becomes something solely based on just really making songs and seeing if you can be successful selling music, which is fine. And I'm not, complaining about where we're at currently. I just wish those elements could still remain in hip-hop. Even with the new artists, even if they just battled in the way that they create music or write currently, right? Because even if you say some of the guys are less lyrical, if somebody calls them out, I would just like to see them battle on that level.
Right. Now they're going to kill each other.
Yeah, they just kill you. Whole ass nigga, I'll shoot you. See
exactly.
you. You know what I mean?
What's the weirdest thing that's happened on a URL stage?
The weirdest thing that has happened on a URL stage. I mean, we haven't had many fights over the years, but there's definitely been, some almost big scuffles. I'm trying to think, man. You put me on the spot with this one.
My bad.
But nah, there's been some crazy, like I said, okay, well, I don't know if we're going to use this part of the interview in the beginning. We could probably start from here. There was a guy who showed up with camera footage of another guy's mother. I mean, another guy's, lady. His child's mother, his lady. Yeah. Well, not his lady, but his child's mother.
Okay, got it.
Performing a sexual act and put it on the screen in front of the world. You know what I mean? That was like
shocking.
Whoa, like I didn't expect that. That was like one of the most shocking moments. No fight broke out.
Crazy.
True professionals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
that's
man,
a
there's
doozy
been
there.
Some crazy stuff.
Yeah,
man.
that's a doozy. Yo, Beasley, I appreciate you, man. Any final words for the people?
Definitely, man. First and foremost, man, if you're looking for like a lot of the new battles and you're not finding them on YouTube, we have an app, the URL TV app. Download the app, get a subscription. You get access to everything in our catalog, as well as all the events that we stream live. The VOD for those events lives on the URL TV app. So download it today. It's in, it's in the App Store. Get it. You can, it's on Samsung Smart TVs, Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, Xbox. It's everywhere. So you can download it and watch it on your television. You know what I mean? It's dope. URL TV app, owned and operated by us, the members of the URL TV movement. Nice. So if you support battle rap and what we do, get the URL TV app. This Saturday, October the 30th, Till Death Do Us Part, Drake's card. He put it together. Drake will be in the building. I believe he's going to be co-hosting with Smack.
Oh, wow.
And just talking about all these exciting battles that he picked, that matchups that he wanted to see for his birthday. So if you want to see what battle rap is about, it's free. It's no charge, no pay-per-view. All you have to do is download the Caffeine app and follow URL TV. And at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, tune in to see Smack, Drake, and all the dope MCs from the URL TV movement compete on the highest level. And it is live and it's free.
Nice.
All right? Nice. So make sure you tune in. It's going to be crazy.
Salute.
My brother's going to be in the building as well.
Right there, front and center. Well, maybe not front, but off to the side somewhere. All right?
Yes, indeed.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, man.
Definitely.
Appreciate it.